Hello and welcome back to another installment of Pokefodder, and today is the day that I take on my opponent. His name is Leon, and he happens to also be part of the N guild or clan or whatever. But this is part of the Twitter tournament that I was invited into playing. It's mostly, I believe it's mostly Japanese players. If you head over to Twitter, I will tweet out the bracket. But my opponent is really good. Like, I want to say close to 4,000, definitely in the high 3,800 to 3,900 range. So what I've done is I've gotten with, I call him Pop Stars Kirby. I know his real name is Pop Star Kirby's, but that doesn't sound right. The S seems like it's in the wrong place to me. So for me, I'm going with Pop Stars Kirby. Makes sense even if it doesn't make sense. But that's not the point. The point is, I put together this deck right here, and I didn't want to show it beforehand because I don't know if Leon watches my videos. Very doubtful, honestly, that he does, but just in case, I did not want to reveal my deck. Here is the thought behind this deck. If you look at the deck, there's no tropical energy. It's decent against Deoxys decks, not world beater. But I just don't run into that many Deoxys decks anymore. And it's not even Deoxys, it's Cosmo. Deoxys A still wreaks havoc on me. But I've got a Mew. And I've got Coco. Are my two runners. Coco adds the damage boost to Zapdos. I've got Blaziken at level 9. So he only has 8 miss, but no chain levels. And I've got Sceptile, which can, has a 25% chance of doing 140 plus damage. And then Zapdos, if it hits with Coco on the field, it's doing 140. Kind of the X factor here is Inti. And if we look at Inti's wheel, it has a really large, and I'm only at level 4 here, but it has a really large 120, as well as a purple that kind of stalls out. This actually proves really nice when going up against heavy hitting tropical decks, because if you look at a tropical deck, outside of Virizion, outside of Sceptile, there's nothing that can really match the 120. Now, with the new Coco Pokemon, Zapdos does do the 140, but it has to be the one attacking. So what happens here is NT off the bench is 3 MP. This is going to allow me to press a little bit harder than I normally would, because I can always scoop up and bring him back to help goal support. I've got plenty of offensive firepower between, a 110 Zapdos or 140, depending on if I'm attacking or being attacked. I've got a 120, I've got a 130, and then I've got a 140 plus here. So there's a lot to like about this deck. As you can see, I'm running Double Chance, X Attack, Goal Block, Swap Spot, Scoop Up, and Long Throw. And the reason for this plate selection is honestly to protect against the Mega Gengar Coco Rush. That allows me to at least get 3 or 4 Pokemon on the field should people want to try to rush me with Mega Gengar, and it really does do a really good job of stalling them out, simply because they can't just bum rush, because I can go straight to goal and then long throw to cut off Mega Gengar. Like I said, it's done really well. It did not do well yesterday. But I've got about 4 minutes until my game. I'm going to go try to find my opponent. And for you, the viewer, I'm actually going to record over the game. I'm gonna record the game without voice commentary, and then I'll go back and voice over the game so that I can be sure and hopefully play my best. I don't want to lose on time because I'm too busy trying to explain what I'm thinking. So the gameplay will probably be, hopefully, will be better. The commentary, maybe not so much. I'll catch up with you guys in a minute. All right, we are locked and loaded. As you can see, I'm going up against Leon, just like I said. And the first thing I notice is he's running 2 Tracheon. And I don't like going up against Tracheon. It's not that it's insanely strong. It's just that it's insanely difficult to attack around. Now, luckily, I do have Blaziken and NT, which can handle Tracheon, but I don't like it. So my opponent is going to open Unorthodoxed. And I remember from playing early in Pokemon Duel days, the strat against when someone opens up on the lane like this is to just get a 3MP Pokemon right up in their face. So I'm trying to decide, what plates does he have, and how do I counter this? So I decided to throw NT, because he's the strongest of my 3MP Pokemon, right up in Greninja's face. I don't have hurdle jump, so there's nothing I can do. And now my opponent, Leon, comes out in the middle, and I'm like, well, crap. Because I legit don't know how to defend against this. What I'm worried about here is getting shuttle flipped off the bat. If I bring a Pokemon out to the inner left corner, I think he can set it up so he can do a double chance shuttle flip onto my goal, and I don't want that to happen. So I concede. In my mind, I'm conceding the entry point. He comes out with the 3MP NT, and I was really surprised to see my opponent have an NT as well. That was kind of my secret weapon for this whole thing. Decide to front up with Blaziken. I feel like that's a pretty good matchup for me. And now here he comes out with Tracheon, and I have nothing left to go up against Tracheon. Both of my Tracheon counters are being preoccupied, and I probably should have left one of my Tracheon counters. Like, maybe I should have put Sceptile up against NT. I don't know. I bring Coco out because I do have the swap spot, and I can have a lot of mobility, and he's kind of extended himself out. I see the chance here. I'm like, well, if I just sit back and wait for him to bring the game to me, I'm probably in trouble. So I go out and immediately, A, knock out Greninja, and B, now I'm threatening its goal. I'm thinking, okay, I'm in decent shape here. NT is not a great matchup for me, but the Mew matchup is great. I notice he doesn't have goal block, so I decide, you know what? I'm going to take the game to him. And I'm going to go super aggressive here. I've got a Pokemon that completely counters Mew, and bam. I did want a double chance just so that I don't get stuck and end up losing there. So now I'm one turn away from winning. All I have to do is survive. I've got a decent sized blue wheel here, which is good and bad since he has a Tracheon on the bench. And with that being the case, I'm thinking in my head here, he could roll Protect twice, or he could roll Miss, and he doesn't. So my opening threat has already been thwarted, although I feel like that was up until now, I think I'm playing really well. Like, I think everything there was the right play. I made him make a decision for his game. And I think that's the best you can ask for at this point. Go ahead and move up with my NT just to take over the entry point here. And I really don't know what my plan is moving forward. I still don't like Tracheon being up against Mew and Zapdos. And here he comes. So he's going to try to take advantage of the matchups. He's a good player. I expect that out of him. And of course, I couldn't have beat the 120 no matter what I rolled. So if we are counting, his Terrakions have both rolled and they've both landed the 120, which is the secondary attack. He goes ahead and Max revives and brings out Mew. Right now, I've conceded that I'm losing Blaziken. Like, Blaziken is a terrible matchup against Mew. I'm conceding that I've lost him, but since I have Gold Block, I decided to go aggressive. My other thought was, if I lose Sceptile here, that means that I'm going to be able to get my Coco back out on the field. With his Mew being so deep into my territory, I felt like, okay, if I can bring out Coco, then I'm good. That right there was a really unfortunate roll. The fact that I rolled my secondary attack and he rolled his primary, size-wise, that is. If I'd rolled my 120 there, then I'm one turn away from winning, and his only option is Mew to attack, probably not. So he's going to have to come out with Combuskin. And I don't know that Combuskin is that great of a matchup against Inti. So it's pretty unfortunate. I'm kind of stuck here. Like, yeah, I've got Sceptile deep in his territory, but I can't hit blue and hop over onto goal. And I know that Blaziken it's a terrible matchup against Mew. He goes and smacks Blaziken around, like I suspected, but I have Coco coming off the bench, and I can't get the knockout. I'm pretty disappointed with that, actually. That, you know, getting the second Pokemon out of my end of the field would have been pretty clutch there. It didn't happen. And I bring up Mew, Zapdos. I could have put Zapdos on the back line, but since I have Gold Block, I am kind of being just a little more aggressive and pushing just a little bit harder than I typically would. If I didn't have Gold Block, I definitely would have put Zapdos on the back line. My opponent comes after Mew, which, because I've reallocated Mew's wheel, the blue is a lot smaller now, but it didn't seem to matter. Very, very unfortunate roll there with rolling the 50. And to this point, I feel like we both have kind of got, like, I haven't had any disastrous misrolls, but I definitely feel like he's getting the better end of the rolls as far as, you know, with his Trachians are just killing me at this point. I don't know what I was thinking here. I'm conceding entry points. Like, he's got me on the ropes here at this point. I don't know what to do. He goes and surrounds my Coco, which I didn't even see, but that probably would not have changed my viewpoint. I guess I could have brought Coco back in support on the other side of Mew because both my entry points would have still been open. But I finally get a knockout of a Trachian. And I still have both my entry points. But again, I've got Blaziken coming out, and I don't know. I guess I could have taken Inti off to the side, but I didn't want to clog up both of my entry points. So moving Zapdos was basically a stall. I jump out, and again, I'm conceding an entry point. I feel like my best option is to attack there because both entry points are still open. So even if I lose that, I can still bring out another Pokemon. He goes for it would have been an easy surround for him, but it doesn't matter. I keep getting stuck with Blaziken being near Mew. I don't know that I didn't really have a better play here. I do have long throw, remember? So I think that was more just a stall move. Like there was no reason to be holding the entry point. I don't know I don't know what he's thinking here. Greninja's not a good matchup. His Tracheon is a good matchup against Sceptile. But Mew's not a great matchup against Zapdos. And I don't know that Greninja's a great matchup against Inti as well. And to be honest, I don't know why he made that move. But I slid over. He did have hurdle jump. One of the few times that I actually do check somebody's plates, and it was good there. I bring out Mew, which I think is a pretty decent matchup in this situation, simply because he's got to. Well, no, he's at 21, so he's going to have to roll at least 2, which is kind of always the case. And then he's going to go ahead and take my entry point there. I don't remember what I did here. Oh, I go and try to take out Mew here. And of course, because if you do X attack on a Mew versus Mew, you're always going to roll blue. Another thing that I'm thinking in the back of my mind right here is I don't want him evolving Combuskin off of my Mew. The last thing I want to deal with is the last thing I want to deal with is a 140 or even higher, I don't know, Blaziken. Maybe attacking Mew wasn't great there. I guess I really don't know what I had to gain. And he takes the easiest round. But with him doing that, it frees up my entry point. I still have long throw, but it frees up my entry point so that I can get my my Coco out onto the field. That was a good roll. It's going to be tough for Greninja to knock him out. But again, here's a problem, and this is going to be a theme throughout this game. Again, I've got a Pokemon that can get near goal, my opponent's goal, but it's got a lot of blue, and Terrakions just completely counters that. So I move back. I kind of want to get my entry points freed open. Again, like, Inti is my only Terrakion counter on the field right now. And he's back to protecting my goal, which is now 3 deep. But it wasn't done on purpose. I mean, it was kind of done on purpose, but I wasn't thinking that I needed 3 Pokemon on my goal to defend. The problem is I have 2 weaker runners that are out protecting my goal, that are trying to attack his goal. And this is not working out well for me. I'm not sure why I did not attack again with the 120. I'd forgotten how many times he rolled 120. I'm not sure why I did not attack Mew there. Maybe that would have been a better play. So I back up. My thought is this. Even if I lose Coco here, I still have Gold Block. But I get a really, really fortunate spin there. I wish that spin would have happened like on turn 10, because then I would have won the game right then and there. Bring my Blaziken back out. And as you can see, so now I have Inti and Blaziken as my Terrakion counters, and both are on the field. So I push forward because I need to try to figure out a way to get Blaziken up against Terrakion. Again, a really, really fortunate roll there again. Nothing doing there. And actually, this play turns out to be really nice for me because he's going to switch me, and I'd already used my swap spot, but now this lines up Blaziken up against Terrakion really well. Unfortunately, he was able to bring Greninja out. If he'd had two Pokemon out already, like nothing on the bench, that would have been great because that would put me in a prime position to win the game. He's already used his Hurdle Jump. He does a smart thing, brings Greninja out and support. I get the good roll. This isn't a great matchup, but I've got to take the chance to win the game. And of course, really the only way that I was going to win that would be to have rolled white, which is still a large slice, but I felt like I had to take the chance. There was an opportunity again to put the game to win the game, and I felt like any opportunity I had to win, I needed to take advantage of. When he did this move, I honestly thought he was trying to cycle out Mew, and I was a little disappointed. I thought Coco should have held up a little bit better there, but Coco did hold up well against two other Pokemon. I'm not, like right now, I don't have a good plan right now. Like my good plan was when Blaziken was up against his goalie, and then that didn't really work out. So now I don't know. I've got two Pokemon back. The good news is I've got three strong Pokemon out there. The problem is I have my weak one attacking goal. I don't know why. I don't know why I slid over there. I don't know what my thought was. I don't know. It's kind of funny that here, there's a Tracheon, there's a Sceptile, there's an NT, there's two NTs, there's a Zapdos all on the field, and we have Mews are attacking goalies. I didn't realize that till just now. That actually was a really good roll for me because obviously I can't die to the Greninja, the 100 plus rolls. And again, just the Mews are bad. Which Mew is going to knock out a goalie first? And it's him. Go ahead. He's already used up all his plates, I believe, at this point. So I just move Zapdos over. I still have my goal block. I did this, and here's why I made this move. Because if Zapdos got knocked out, I did not really have a way to get Sceptile back over. And by doing that move right there, I felt like that kept me from my goal from being weak. I had the support, and I don't know. That was my thought behind it. It kept my entry point free, and it gave me extra support at goal, which I thought I probably needed. Pre-evolution versus evolution. I like this matchup here. The problem is I don't like this with Terrakion. If I had a Pokemon switch, I definitely would have just flip-flopped those two right here. I go ahead and go after it. I have nothing to lose. Like I have an entry point free. And there's no downside to attacking there. There's only upside. Because if I knock him out, he's still going to bring Tracheon, his other Tracheon off the bench to try to save goal. But he could roll blue. So Coco's not, it's not a good Pokemon for me to have out in this situation. So I'm really okay with him getting knocked out, and he does. Coco ends up being, I mean, yeah, he did nice on goal for those 2 turns or whatever. But for the entire, so kind of the entirety of this match, it really was a non-factor because where he shines is with Zapdos out attacking. And unfortunately for me, I've got my Zapdos sitting on my goal. So Zapdos isn't going to be doing a whole lot of attacking, and that may be misplay on my part by not keeping Coco back and being on the front line with Zapdos. That may have been a better game plan, better strategy for winning. I'm feeling pretty defeated here, quite honestly. If you look at the time, he's got me by 40 seconds or something. And, you know, at this point, I need to attack goal, but he's got Pokemon swarming my goal at the same time. And I've kind of, in my head, accepted defeat at this point. But I feel like I've played a really solid match up until this point. Like I said, now that I'm going back and voicing over on this, I'm thinking that, you know, maybe the better strategy would have been to leave Coco on the back line somehow and get Zapdos out on attacking. But during the course of the game, it just so happened that I needed to have Zapdos on the back line. And I never did get an opportunity to take him back out to be offensive. I will say that Zapdos' wheel, even at level 9, is still wildly inconsistent for me. And I typically don't like to take him out onto the front line. I was trying to cycle out Coco there because Coco was no use to me. And I knew NT was A, 3 and P coming off the bench, but also he had more attack power. At this point, I don't know. I mean, there really was no point in doing this round other than I can't win if he takes my goal. Like, there's no way to win if he takes my goal. At the same time, I can't win if I don't take his goal, and I'm definitely going to lose on time if it comes down to that. And time is quickly fading on my end. He keeps out the rubber chicken, and the reason why he does that is because anytime Mew is still out on the board, you want to keep your pre-evolution there, because Combuskin is a counter to Mew, Blaziken is not. So a good move by him. At that point, I was throwing a Hail Mary. I can't, Subtile doesn't need to be sitting on his entry point at the same time. Like, what are the odds of him knocking out Subtile anyways? So that is just about going to wrap it up. You know, I feel like both players here had chances. He had a few swings at my goal. I after going back and rewatching this, I actually feel like maybe I had more chances at attacking his goal than he actually did of mine. You know, just never had an ideal matchup against the goalie, and that's kind of the way that this thing ends. I was fine with the way I played, and I feel encouraged more than discouraged, even in defeat. So I am eliminated, but Leon, it was a great game, and hopefully we meet again. And until next time.